Can you give me the first 100 digits of pi?
Go to hell.
Oh, that's not nice. What are the first 3 digits?
3.7 something.
You're joking, right?
No.
It's 3.14159.
I can't remember my own.
You thought it was 3.7?
Can we continue?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you can tell me this says though. Or my major is economics.
I am a TV and film major at St. John's University.
I'm gonna be 20 on Thursday.
I am 20 years old, but I'll be turning 21 this summer.
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
I am from Middletown, Delaware.
It was great. I have 2 amazing supportive parents and I have an awesome little brother who's totally not better looking than I am.
Pretty normal life, you know, had parents, you know, they're married. I had an older brother and an older sister, so, you know, my sister is significantly older than me. My brother is, he is now 28, my sister is 31.
In I think the 3rd grade, 3rd or 4th, something like that. Elementary school was really frustrating for me because I couldn't, like multiplication tables, that sort of thing, I couldn't figure out why it didn't make sense to me. I went to a school that was really great with that sort of stuff, so they were very helpful and accommodating.
Mm-hmm. 8 years old and in 2nd grade when I was diagnosed with dyslexia.
I'm diagnosed with dysgraphia. Dysgraphia is focused more on writing, where dyslexia is focused more on reading. I have trouble, if I have a thought in my head, I have trouble writing that down or transferring it to paper.
I have dyslexia, but I also have dysgraphia and dyscalculia, which are other forms of dyslexia. It has to do with reading. And dysgraphia has to do with writing, and dyscalculia has to do with numbers. So I got all 3. I got lucky, woo! Look for when you think someone has dyslexia would be like things like when they're reading it, like words are backwards, words are like a different order, B's and D's are mixed up, things like that. For dysgraphia, it would be like weird writing, like the way they write is flipped. Once when I was younger, I wrote my name Alyssa Danetta, but I wrote the entire name in complete reverse. And the people went up to my mom and said, "How did your daughter do this?" And with dyscalculia, it'd mostly be numbers, like if numbers are switched, if they're writing numbers in different orders, things like that. My mom actually had suspicions from when I took dance class. And they would be like, all right, left leg, and I'd always do the right. Or they'd be like, right leg, I'd always do left. I'd always have the wrong arms, always have the wrong legs. Also, I wasn't able to read, so they knew something was wrong. And my mom just sort of figured it out.
Like it wasn't a really big surprise to me. I had suspected that she was dyslexic, so there were a lot of indications that she was. So it wasn't really a surprise. It was, you know, I wasn't unhappy about it. It was just like a relief to know what problems she had, so we could work on helping her deal with it.
So my parents had to take me to a different school called the College School, which is a great school. It's for kids who have learning disabilities, and it was great. And they helped me, like I had to get tutoring and all sorts of other things, but because of that school, I was able to read and I was able to go to college.
In school, I had problems with handwriting. My handwriting is still atrocious to this day. So they put me in a lot of like typing classes, handwriting classes, that sort of thing.
I faced in school, and I'm still facing. I couldn't read. I couldn't do anything but sight read. So like I would see a word and I'd be like, I would only know a word because I memorized the string of letters. Like I couldn't actually read till maybe I was in 4th grade because they had to help me with that. I had a lot of handwriting problems. A lot of teachers have told me my handwriting is really bad and that I should become a doctor. But they eventually, they helped me. I got through that. And I was eventually able to, do good in school and, get over it.
I had one teacher in 4th grade. Her name was Miss Weaver. And she used to get mad at me and she used to say that I couldn't use my dyslexia as an excuse for anything. But I totally did. At work, I have trouble sometimes with getting things in order. So the other day I was working on this thing where I had to put a bunch of dates in order, and I know obviously that December comes after March, but I couldn't figure out on the paper if I should put December 4th over here on the left, or if I should put it closer to March 3rd. It was just it was a very weird layout. So sometimes I have trouble with linear activities. Well, so since I've had dyslexia for almost 10 years, or been diagnosed with it for almost 10 years, I've learned how to deal with most of the problems that come up in day-to-day life. I read slower than most people, so I guess that's something.
Or when I try to go somewhere, I usually end up getting lost because I don't know which is left, which is right, and I'll like go down the wrong street. I always make jokes that when people are like, well, you can get there, you can figure it out. I'm like, well, you know, if you want me to come out to your house, I will, but I can't promise you I'll make it that night. I'll most likely end up in Connecticut. In terms of numbers, like I can't memorize any numbers. Like if you give me like a classroom number, I can't memorize it. I can't memorize my ex number. It took me forever to memorize my cell phone number, so that's a problem.
My uncle, Jim Reed, who I think is actually technically my mom's uncle, he has dyslexia, and I remember one time we went to this family reunion and he came up to me and he's like, oh, I heard you have dyslexia, you know, like he starts to hug me and be really sympathetic, and I'm like, oh yeah, isn't it awesome, high five, you know, I thought we were super cool friends, and he got confused.
My brother has a little bit of dyslexia. He doesn't have it as bad as me, but he has a little bit. Nobody else besides my brother has been diagnosed with it, but like there's been signs of it on my dad's side. Like my dad might have a little bit of it, and other people within that family might have had it, but they've never been diagnosed with it.
I don't get that it doesn't really have an effect on intelligence. I think that's a common one, and I think people also don't get that there are different kinds of dyslexia. So for instance, with mine, I'm not reading words backwards or anything like that, which is sort of what people know about.
The tools I've used to help me with dyslexia is, one thing is I have my my smartphone, which was amazing. I'm so glad my parents bought it for me. What I use it for mostly is like I have all of my entire like class schedule in it, so the times and the numbers of the classrooms, because I can't remember the numbers. And I also have any numbers I need to remember, like we have this thing, I have my student ID number in it, so I don't have to memorize it because that would take me a while. So I have all sorts of numbers. I also use it for the GPS because GPS is God's gift to dyslexics, because literally without GPS I probably would actually be in Connecticut. But GPSs are amazing. I also use the whole L thing. That took me forever to learn, because things with L's is they both look the same to me, so I spent hours on end learning which way the L goes. So I would ask my mom to tell me which L was which. When I was in dance, I used to roll up my pant leg, and I'd roll up the left leg, so the left leg would have the pant leg that's rolled up, so I would know that that was the left leg. It looked silly, but it worked. I learned a lot of other tools, such as learning how to sound things out. It was a lot of just learning, lots of sounding out, learning which way the B and D goes, a lot of practice. Also, accommodations that the school offers is amazing. Like, I get extra time on my tests, which is time and a half, so I have more time to take my tests, and it really helps because, you know, like I don't have to rush, and I can have more time to understand what I'm reading and to focus on it.
As far as accommodations go, I'm really bad at taking notes because it takes a lot of focus for me to writing something down, to looking up, to, you know, like to copying something like that. So I think it helps me a lot if teachers put, you know, PowerPoint and stuff online so I can copy it from there or print it off and look at it that way. Just because I think it distracts me from the actual lesson. That helps me a lot. And Scantrons drive me nuts. Like just multiple choice in general, because I flip my B's and my D's sometimes. So, you know, it's kind of confusing going B, D, oh, B, D, left, right. That's about it. I think it's unfair that people with dyslexia get special accommodations, which I think is absurd. Nobody says it's unfair that a crippled person gets to use a wheelchair. I don't know, I just think that's ridiculous. Yeah. I just want to say that I know that sometimes you can feel isolated, and it gets really insanely frustrating sometimes, but you're not alone. There are people with dyslexia doing amazing things out there. Walt Disney had dyslexia, and, you know, Tangled is awesome. So clearly you can still do cool things. And that with more and more tools coming out, it just makes these things more and more.
You can never really erase it, but you can learn how to cope with it.
So some people feel that it's unfair that people with dyslexia get certain accommodations. How do you feel about that?
Some people are dicks. Okay, sorry.
Like, you're just gonna see that. But it's fine, be yourself. Be yourself.
Okay. I love you, but the nun was right. Your handwriting is terrible.
The nun was right.
Okay, sorry. Okay, where do you think homeless people get their markers? Fine, we're on act 2.